Hey everybody, this is how you guys doing this beautiful Friday afternoon? Sun is out, sun is bright. Not as warm as it has been, but it's still a little warm. Today's Friday. This is Coach Bill with Fat Loss Made Easy Solution, and today I think I'm going to call this topic Client Win for Friday. You guys that have followed some of my YouTubes or Facebook Lives, you know I like to do some client wins, actual clients who have been successful with our online personal coaching. I like to read the comments that we get from them. And today is, in particular, is very important because it has to do with type 2 diabetes. And so I titled the topic today, documentation will always overrule conversation when it comes to reversing prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, and of course that unwanted belly fat. But what makes documentation so important is, especially when it comes to any medical issue, is to actually monitor what is going on. Guys, in the last few weeks, I've seen a lot of advertisements on TV for medication for lowering glucose or blood sugar levels because, you guys, type 2 diabetes in the young and old is an epidemic. Type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, and even a fatty liver is life-threatening if you don't get it under control. Those of you that may know somebody who has prediabetes or type 2 diabetes or a fatty liver, you might just want to share this with them. And those of you that have these diseases maybe want to share it with your doctor, because I'm not afraid to talk to any doctor out there. And the reason for that is just what the title says. Documentation will always overrule conversation. And so in the past few years, Emily and I have become specialists in reversing these diseases. And I document everything. Now, what I mean by document, I document their comments. I document pictures of the glucose meter they're using with the numbers on it, dated and time. And I also have them log in their own dates and time and what their glucose levels and their ketone levels are, so that they can give it to the doctors and show them the improvement by changing what they eat, when they eat, the time, and of course, hopefully I could get some of them to change the type of water, because if you change the type of water you're drinking to hydrogen-rich water, that will escalate your blood sugars to lower much, much faster. And that's our goal. Our goal is to get your blood sugar down to less than 100. And we want to do it as quickly as possible, because high blood sugar is a serious, serious epidemic and can cause a lot of medical issues if you've had it for a while. The medication, all my clients are the ones that are all on the medication. They've been on the medication for a long time, and their blood sugars are still way too high. This particular client of mine that I'm going to be reading what his comment was to me, has been on blood sugar medicine for a long time. And his blood sugars were still way up in the high 100, or like 190s and 180s and 155s and 200s. So obviously the medication doesn't work, and it's not going to work. Medication isn't designed to reverse diabetes or lower the blood. I mean, it is designed to lower the blood sugar. Let me retract that. But still, it just drops it just a hair. It doesn't really drop it down to a healthy level. And then what happens is, as soon as somebody eats a high glycemic or a high starchy, high carbohydrate meal, and I've got documentation showing what happens. I got a particular person that was doing great. We dropped it down to mid 50s. He kind of went sour on me, went back on eating some starches, and all of a sudden went back up to 255. It's that simple. The object, guys, is we got to go after the root cause, and the root cause is an imbalance of hormones, and it's insulin resistant, and it's the hormone insulin that's totally out of control. Okay, so like I said, type 2 diabetes and in young and old is an epidemic. Like I said, you guys should, and I also got to, I've also got to start mentioning more as far as a disclaimer. So let's get my disclaimer out of the way so I don't get in trouble here. And so I had to actually write one out, and I got to post my disclaimer on my YouTube channels in the description section. So what I'm reading here, guys, it's actually going to be in the description center of my YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube, type in Bill Mabry, subscribe to it, and you click on the description, and the comment from my client will be in there. And also in there, I'll be putting my disclaimers. Even though I have documentation, I have science documentation that what I talk about is all true. But here it is. I am not a doctor. All information given has been gathered by personal experience and information that I researched and complied over 40 years. My wife's the researcher, so if I need something, she goes after it, and she knows how to dig for it and get the actual case studies. Always consult a physician before starting a new meal plan or diet, if you want to call it a diet, eating regimen or workout plan. So I'm always telling my, let's bring my notes back up here a little more. I'm always telling my clients that if they're on medication, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to, even though it's, we're starting to get your blood sugar to drop, and you're getting really excited about that, a lot of people will start to lessen their medication on their own, and I don't recommend you doing that because some of the medication you might be taking, you cannot stop cold turkey. You just can't do that. You can have a seizure or something else. But this particular client here, we've been working. I mean, I have clients that doctors are on board, and they are actually looking at their numbers and saying, man, whatever you're doing, you just keep on doing it, and we're going to start dropping your metformin. We're going to take you off some of the units of insulin. But then I have doctors that still don't get it. They still don't. They feel that the medication, they need to keep taking the medication even though we've dropped it down to a normal level, and we still have a ways to go to get adapted, to get fat adapted, to keep it down there at a healthy level. They just will not lower the medication, and that could be an issue. I mean, like I tell my clients, I said, we've got your blood sugar down to a normal level now, but that medication will actually cause it to drop even lower, and we don't want that to happen. That's not a good issue. So you either need to meet with them face to face and show them your numbers, because you've documented your numbers, or you need to go find a new doctor because they're not doing their job here. Okay, so that's what happened here. And he took it upon himself to gradually, now he did it right. Like I said, I don't recommend anybody doing it, and he made the decision himself because he was not getting any cooperation with his doctor at all. And I'll kind of give you, after I read his comment, I'll give you an idea of what happened and why we couldn't go further with the next level on my program, because I have to get him off. He has to get off the medication first before we can go to the next level. I don't want his blood sugar to drop too low, even though he is fat adapted. But I want to make sure he's fat adapted, and so, which means that if your blood sugar, I'll just give you a real quick thing. His blood sugar is normal. He's down in when he's doing a 23-hour fast, or when he's doing an 18 or 20-hour fast, he's down in the mid 70s, low 80s, which is excellent, considering for years he was in the high, in the 2s and high 100s on medication. Well, what happens in the next level is we're looking to get him fat adapted. So that way his body is going to be primarily feeding off the fat, his stored body fat, as fuel and no longer the carbs. The carbs will just be a secondary. Right now, 99.9% of you guys your carbohydrate is your number one fuel, and your fat that is in your body, those of you that may have the belly fat, you're not even dipping into that at all. And so we have already switched him over. His body likes his own body fat as fuel, and that's why he's losing so much body fat as well. He's lost a lot of body fat. He's going to have to go buy a whole bunch of new work clothes because of it. Well, let's see here. So anyway, what happened was we went to the next level, and his blood sugar dropped too low. Although he still felt fine, and the reason why he felt fine is because, like I said, he's fat adapted. But his blood sugar was too low, and I said, nope, stop right now. We can't go any lower. We need to get you off the medication first. Okay, so the doctor is making us stall to go to the next level because, of course, he's looking to lose some more of that body fat. So anyway, I'm going to read you what a type 2 diabetic who actually basically has reversed his diabetes, or you could call it insulin resistance. He no longer has a fatty liver either. He's lost a lot of body fat. So this is the message I got. So on 10/26 of 20, I put a title on that date: Type 2 diabetic reaching the goal of a fat adaptation and ketone adaptation. There is a key factor. Not only is he fat adapted, which means his body is relying on his own body fat as fuel, which is a good thing because that's rocket fuel, but he's also ketone adapted. That's fuel and food for the brain and other organs, and that's why he feels so well. And obviously because of all this, he's reversed insulin resistance. So now his body is utilizing the blood sugars that he does have in the blood as fuel, and he's no longer in the danger zone. So anyway, this is what he said, and I'm going to read his exact words here. His A1C, okay, I'll give you a background. His A1C was at 14, and he was insulin resistant, or he's a type 2 diabetic. A1C was at 14. Bad. Really, really bad. His blood glucose level was as high as 255. He has been on medication during that period, and it only dropped it very little. So obviously, documentation will always overrule conversation, right? Well, the documentation shows that the medication just wasn't doing the job. So he's taking medication. If you look up the diabetic medication of the side effects, they're long, they're huge. So really, he's actually poisoning his body. Besides his body trying to reverse diabetes on its own, the immune system, it's now fighting with medication that's also causing inflammation. So the body is double dipping here, trying to fight both ways, and there's no winning. There's no winning. The only thing that's going to win here is the doctor's wallet. That's about it. Okay? So here's my client's comment. Here we go. My A1C is at 5.7. Now, those of you that are diabetics or pre-diabetics, you guys know 5.7 A1C is phenomenal. Okay, a healthy person is around that range, So I'm down from a previous 8.4. Now, this was a blood test. He just recently got back. This is a new blood test that he did. The last blood test he had, he was at 8.4 and an 8.4 and a high of 14. So what he's telling me is that he was up at 14. We got him to 8.4. Now we got him to 5.7 on this recent one. I am 1.1 from normal and not being a diabetic. Well, actually, honestly, he's no longer a diabetic. At 5.7, he's in a healthy range there. So I don't know where that number came from. My blood sugar levels are normal. This is what the documentation said. My blood sugar levels are normal and not diabetic. Okay? This has all happened in a short few weeks. I think it was around, I don't know, 13, 14, maybe 15 weeks, around there. Now, why was he so successful? Consistent, because he was consistent and he was very focused, because he knew of the side effects that are from being a type 2 diabetic, and hopefully he saw the pictures I sent him of what somebody looks like when they lose a leg or when they have a diabetic ulcer, how it's flesh-eating disease. I mean, when you get a diabetic ulcer, it's the body eating its own body up. Okay, it's pretty ugly, but you have to see it. People have to see this. Sometimes that doesn't, I mean, sometimes that maybe rattle their heads and they get scared and they'll actually do it. But most people still don't get it, okay? Especially most doctors don't get it. There are doctors that are finally seeing, because like I said, documentation always overrule conversation. If I have documentation proving it, how can they deny it? And then how about when I back it up with real case studies from real cases? They can't deny it, okay? And besides that, because of our program, he is now keto adapted, which means his body is utilizing the ketones that's producing because he's on a higher fat diet. Okay? So yesterday around the time this is what happened. This is what is really encouraging and what I like. He gave me an example of how powerful fat adaptation is and how keto adapted is. Yesterday around the time we celebrated our daughter's birthday, I ate what my wife prepared for her. Cream of chicken and sour cream enchiladas with rice and ham hock, brown sugar, pinto beans. Followed that with a slice of pumpkin pie and whipped topping on a scoop of vanilla ice cream. I also had a small piece of pumpkin bread later. If somebody who is a diabetic ate that at one sitting, his blood sugar goes freaking sky high. I mean, ridiculously sky high. Sometimes so high that they may get effects from the high sugar. Now, like I said, he's been doing this for about 13, 14 weeks, and I tell my clients, once you get fat adapted and ketone adapted, and your blood sugars are normal for a period of time, there's no reason why you can't enjoy life and go to a family event and indulge what they're eating, because you want to enjoy life. I mean, there's times when you like to eat whatever you want. But as a type 2 diabetic, when you're first starting out on our online personal coaching program, diabetic program, you can't do this. The reason why he's able to do it is because he stayed consistent and focused and got his A1C down to a healthy level and became rooted in fat adaptation and keto adapted. And he learned that by eating this way, he knew the next day he was going to have to do intermittent or prolonged fasting. And what he decided to do was do a prolonged fasting. And so the next day he decided to do a 24-hour fasting because of what he ate. And here he sent me this is where the documentation comes in. And all my clients' files, I have the documentation in there. Now, what is really encouraging here and what's telling me that this man is fat adapted, he has reversed his type 2 diabetes. His life is now in a healthy lifestyle, and he can continue with what life he has left, being healthy and enjoying his family, his church, his grandkids, whatever. But in 24 hours, his blood sugar dropped down to 76. I have it right here. 76. Perfect. That's a perfect. That means, what that's telling me is that, when he ate that meal the day before, in one sitting, his blood sugar would have been sky high. It probably would have been way up in the, I would have to guess, what, 150s, 180s. But because he's fat adapted and because he's keto adapted, his body's metabolism just went nuts. It panicked because it's not used to having all that carbohydrates or all that sugar at one sitting. So the metabolism just went freaking nuts. And it amped up and it wanted to get rid of this crap, get rid of all that glucose, all that sugar. So it just started burning it up like crazy. And so what ended up happening is, I would say maybe 12 hours into his 24-hour fast is probably when he finally burned up all that sugar. And then the next 12 hours of his fasting, he basically brought his ketones back up again, and he was right back into ketosis in a short amount of time. And that's exactly how you want your body to work. That's exactly what that means. Now, those of you that are diabetics, or those of you that may know what diabetes is and how it all works, you know that that meal he had the night before, if he wasn't fat adapted or ketone adapted, you know what his blood sugar would have been at. It would have been in a dangerous range because the medication could not even have helped it. There's no way. And we've proved that with glucose readings. Glucose readings will prove the medication doesn't even work. So that was really exciting. I wanted to get on here. I wanted you to actually see what my client said. I want you to share this with somebody you know that has type 2 diabetes, because if their doctor, which most of them don't believe it, we have documentation, there it is, right here, that you can reverse prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, and get rid of that belly fat if you have the right tools. Okay, the first 60 to 90 days are very important when you change, because there's protocols. You can't just jump into a primal meals or a ketogenic diet, combining it with intermittent prolonged fasting. Just jump into it because your body isn't used to doing that yet. Okay. Real quick though, I just got another email from another client who had fatty liver. She was diagnosed with fatty liver. She's tried all kinds of different meal plans. She was on some meal plan, paying somebody this meal plan. Obviously, it didn't work because she still had fatty liver, and because it didn't work, that's why she contacted me to see what I had to offer. And I just got a message from her today. She just got she got her results back from her doctor. They did an ultrasound of her liver and stuff, and she is no longer has a fatty liver. The doctor says you no longer have to come and see me. Okay, so in a short few weeks, we took this young lady and reversed her fatty liver and got it healthy again. And now we can go after the body fat now. Now we can turn her body into a fat burning machine. Okay, guys, so this is Client Win Friday. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, you can go to my YouTube channel, type in Bill Mabry, subscribe to it. Also go to my Weight Loss Made Easy Solution group Facebook page, join it. You'll have I have different videos on there, and I also on my Weight Loss Made Easy Solution Facebook group page, I've got fat burning recipes. Okay, but real quick, when this client, the type 2 diabetic client that I got and that I mentioned here in this video, at this last blood test, the doctor apparently made a comment. Looks like it looks like the medication's working. That's a common comment I get from my clients after we've dropped their blood sugars down. What doctors come up and say, looks like the medication's working. Now, how does that make sense? Here, his blood sugar's been sky high for years, on medication for years, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything to lower the blood sugar to a health. It didn't reverse it. Period. Doesn't make sense, does it? Guys, share this video with your type 2 diabetic friends. Share this video with your friends. You guys have a great day. I hope you saw some value in this. This is the coach, and I'm signing off. Have a great day. Bye.